Yeah! Hey everybody, welcome again to another episode of the ADHD Shop. I'm Ash, the engineer with more projects than common sense. And if you're like me and are stuck behind a desk all day, you find yourself always dreaming, but hardly driving. Here we are in the actual ADHD shop rather than the home garage, and I'll give a formal tour of this place a little bit later when it isn't 103 degrees. But despite this COVID lockdown, I figured I needed to sneak in here and grab a couple things, including this code scanner that's used to clear any check engine or warning lights in the vehicle and helps me diagnose what's actually wrong with the vehicle and what actually triggered that check engine light.
Code scanner? You don't like us carburetors anymore? Now that I'm home with this code scanner and it's a manageable 102 degrees outside, I figured now's a good chance to come out here and check the codes on this 2006 Honda Element. Now here in California, we have to have emissions tests every other year, and that includes not only the tailpipe test, but also making sure that your computer doesn't have any error codes or anything to denote that there's maintenance required or there's something faulty in the system that could affect those emissions. So, of course, you have to have your code scanner here to take a look at this, but I figured, man, you know how many times I've been asked, what is this check engine light? How do I fix it? Is my car going to blow up? I don't know, but I figured now's a good chance to explain it. But I kind of figured there's also the moms out there that also need an explanation that we just simply don't have time for.
Yeah. Check engine light. Yeah, I've got a meeting in like 5 minutes, 3 minutes. And
I figured, a reality show or anything like that won't cover it.
What, you think these parts are going to install themselves? It's like I'm trying so hard and it's just not listening to me. It's like it just doesn't even care.
Next time on The Real Shop. True story.
So now we have... What would you do if your car's out of tune? Would you stand up and call a tow for me? I'll give you my ears if you tell me the codes, but just try not to lose my keys. Oh baby, I can't figure out this light. All you need is a scan tool. Oh baby, I can't figure out this light. Oh baby, I can't figure out this light. Most newer cars have warning lights that appear on your gauge cluster. Warning lights appear if something is not functioning correctly with a particular part of your car. These issues can impact the performance with changes in fuel economy, exhaust emissions, reliability, and potentially safety. It is important that these warning lights be addressed to prolong the life and the performance of your car. Let's take a look at the top 3 warning lights that may appear in your car. We have your brakes and any one of these potential brake warning lights. And then we have our infamous check engine light. And another important one is your tire pressure light. Now, I'm not going to lie, there's a lot more to this, but this is really top level. Each of these warning lights revolve around a part that performs work and a sensor that monitors that part. When that part doesn't perform its job, the sensor informs the car's computer, which in turn warns the driver through a warning light. Did I lose you? Okay, well let's take a look at a real example. Let's say you have a significant other or partner that you kindly ask, "Hey significant other or partner, can you please clean the dishes for me?" "I am your significant other or partner. I will do the dishes for you." Now let's say you have a kid or someone you consider a tattletale. This kid will tell you anything. "I'm a tattletale, I'm going to tell you everything."
Now let's start by taking a look at the roof and the top of your SUV. From this same perspective, let's take a look at what's underneath. Let's assume we have the engine up front, or on the rear if you have something cool like a Vanagon or something. On the driver's side, you have your left front wheel and brakes, and your left rear wheel and brakes. On the passenger side, you have your right front wheel and brakes, your right rear wheel and brakes. Now, as the driver, you would sit in the driver's seat right behind the steering wheel. Okay, well, let's make this a little bit more realistic. We'll have the cell phone in the center console, along with a grande quad long shot salted caramel mocha latte with 4 pumps of chocolate and vanilla substitute and 1.5 pumps of white chocolate and hazelnut, but stirred with light ice that you finally got after using that $10 gift card that was lurking around because it's Monday and you're worth it.
I'm fabulous.
You gotta have some French fries that fell on the floor, directly diagonal to the baby seat, which of course is protected from sunlight with all the stickers over the window. Now remember when you asked your significant other to perform a task? Let's say you have 4 of them at each of the wheels. Instead of asking them to do the dishes, let's ask your significant other or partner to make sure your tires remain inflated with the right amount of air pressure. I am your significant other or partner. I will ensure your tires hold the correct air pressure. As you drive, the wheels and tires will hold the right amount of air pressure. While each tire will have what is called a TPMS or a tire pressure monitoring system, the system will include a sensor inside each wheel that measures that tire pressure. Let's focus on one of the tires, the front driver's side. The TPMS sensor's job is to measure the air pressure and inform you with an actual pressure reading. As you drive, and while your tires are still holding air, your sensor is going to give you an accurate reading of your tire pressure in real time. I am holding air. Your wheel is holding air at the correct pressure. When you see a low tire pressure light, your sensor is telling you that the specific tire is low on air pressure. I am holding less air. Your tire pressure is low. And the sensor is now informing you that the tire pressure is low. What does that mean? Let's look at the tire as it hits the road. A normal tire will contact the road completely. A tire with low air pressure, on the other hand, will exhibit wear on the outside edges. Here is a picture of a real tire and the wear pattern after being underinflated. Conversely, an overinflated tire can also be risky, and the tire pressure sensor will also pick this up and inform you with a warning light. An overinflated tire will exhibit wear on the inside of the tire instead. Make sure you check and compare your tire pressure with what your car manufacturer's ratings are. These are usually in the door jamb or your owner's manual. It is preferred that the measurement be taken, say, in the morning whenever it's cold. Now let's get back to that sweet rig you drive every day. If you look at those same 4 wheels and tires as before, we can now focus on the brakes. As you drive, the brakes are available to stop the car when needed. I'm going to stop the car as needed. Let's focus on that left front wheel again. If your car is equipped with a brake warning light and pad life sensor, as you drive, the brake pad life will be monitored by that sensor. Over time, as your pads wear out, you may experience issues with performance, including longer times to brake or even brake noises. Your sensor will detect this. Your brake pads are worn and notify you with a light. Your brake light may also appear if any of the following occurs within your braking system: worn out brake pads or drum brake shoe lining, loss of brake fluid or low brake fluid levels, which could be representative of a leak, but you'd feel that difference in the brake pedal. The car should not be driven and should be checked out immediately. Anti-lock braking system malfunction, which should also be checked out immediately too, could be another reason. And last but not least, the infamous check engine light. Let's look at that car again in the engine. I am your engine. I will turn your fuel energy into mechanical energy so you can drive. Your engine has a host of different sensors that help make sure that the engine is running optimally. Your engine's running well. These sensors can vary in function, including measuring how much oil is in the engine or even its condition. Or the sensors can be watching things that rotate inside your engine or the temperature of the engine as you drive along. There is even an oxygen sensor used to monitor how much fuel is being used by measuring the amount of unburned oxygen in the exhaust as it exits the car. I'm the oxygen sensor. We'll take a look at some of the other potential sensors that could be an issue in a check engine light case. These sensors all communicate with the computer on your car. I am the engine's computer. I take all the information from the sensors and calculate how much fuel you should use. It takes all the information and determines how much fuel your engine needs based on your driving. Unfortunately, most of these sensors communicate to the car in a different language that can only be deciphered using a special tool that plugs into the car. When there are no issues with your engine, no check engine light will appear, as your car's computer is managing the sensors and how much fuel is being consumed. I'm a sensor somewhere in your engine. Your engine's running well. Now, when your check engine light turns on, your car's computer is telling you that something is wrong. Something is wrong, check engine. This could be a host of different issues that can impact the performance or fuel economy of your car. Depending on how extreme the issue is, there could be a chance of lessening the lifespan of the engine, or it could be something simple like an oil change is needed. Say the engine isn't running well, and you're using more fuel than normal. Now let's say you have a German SUV. Ich bin krank. Der Sauerstoffsensor funktioniert nicht.
I'm your code scanner. Let me translate what your German SUV is saying. It's saying that its oxygen sensor is no longer working, and the check engine light came on because of it. Your car is probably experiencing horrible fuel economy, and you should probably have that oxygen sensor replaced, and the check engine light will go away.
Your engine's computer has observed that there is something wrong in the system, which could also be a bad or non-functioning sensor. The code that is generated from the error in the computer is read by the code reader and is deciphered to uncover what the problem is. This tool is often used by mechanics to troubleshoot vehicles and error codes, and can also be purchased at your local auto parts store. A few sensors that can trigger a check engine light and are crucial for your engine to operate can include air temperature. This is used to appropriately distribute the correct amount of fuel based on the air temperature and density. This can impact fuel economy considerably. Camshaft position sensor. This sensor is critical in making sure your fuel and spark are synchronized to establish the correct firing order and proper engine operation. If your car sounds and feels rough or has issues starting or running, this could be something to investigate. Coolant temperature sensor. This sensor looks at coolant temperatures and optimizes fuel and spark timing based on the engine's temperatures. Alongside your temperature gauge, this could equate to damage to your engine by overheating or compromised performance if the sensor doesn't work. There's the crankshaft position sensor, which takes the crankshaft position and uses that for the ignition timing advancement and injector pulses. This could really hurt your ignition timing and create a rough idle or hesitation while driving if the sensor is not functioning. While we're in there, there's the exhaust gas recirculation valve position sensor, which checks the position of the valve that recirculates exhaust back into your engine. By doing this, the EGR helps lowering emissions and the temperatures of your engine. If you have to test your vehicle for emissions and have this sensor as a problem, you could face an out-of-range reading which will impact those results. The knock sensor is another one of the sensors that affects the timing by observing the vibrations within the engine and adjusting the timing to compensate. The manifold absolute pressure sensor determines the amount of air pressure going into the engine as you apply load to the engine. This could also impact fuel economy and engine timing. The mass airflow sensor measures the amount of air going into the engine, which is also critical. This sensor should be clear of any debris, so it is important that you clean your air filter frequently as this impacts fuel economy. The throttle position sensor tells the computer what position the throttle valve is at, which is based on how much you press the gas pedal, and compares that value to the engine load by adjusting timing and fuel delivery. There's also a vehicle speed sensor which corrects engine ignition timing and your transmission shift points if you have an automatic.
An entire episode with no monster truck voice? That's not fair. Hit subscribe so I can be on the next one.